Sophie, is there a personal challenge you've had in your life that has shaped the person you are today?
Oh, there was a few different things I was thinking of when you told me this question.
Right.
But I think definitely the biggest challenging time I've had in my life, which not many people would have heard me talk about this, but when I was only 16, I got very, very sick. But I was like really healthy. I was really sporty in school.
Okay.
I was like in the captain of the hockey team, like really into sports. And then I developed this really serious infection called osteomyelitis, which was,
Never heard of it.
or like septic arthritis is like another way of talking about it, but it's essentially infection of the bone, which is so unusual for a young person. I was only 16. It's quite an old person's illness. But I developed this when I was 16. They think I got it through a local infection from playing hockey, like on a new hockey boot I had on. So I got I got a local infection from just rubbing off the skin, and then somehow it managed to get into my bone. So really quickly I got really, really ill, and I was hospitalized for nearly 3 months. Like it got to the point where I couldn't walk. And even though I was so young, I have such vivid memories from that time. I think it's because at such a young age, I got such a grasp of the importance of my health, because I was suddenly not able. I was going from, when you're a teenager, you're not thinking anything about, you're invincible, aren't you?
Yeah,
And I was so
bulletproof.
sporty. And suddenly I literally couldn't walk. Like I couldn't get out of bed because the pain, like if I even tried to lift my leg up a fraction, the pain was so severe. So I had to be put on intravenous antibiotics. That's why I was in hospital, because they had to do so much, and I had to be given so many antibiotics for this infectious. Like my parents once had to ask them, was it life-threatening? And like at one point, because it got so long before they really diagnosed what the issue was, the infection got so bad. So anyway, I was in hospital, essentially not able to walk, and I think that was from a really early age, which is quite unusual. I got so hyper aware of how we only have one body, and how important it is to look after our health. Our health is everything.
Yeah.
And I think interestingly, that has shaped me. That shaped me as a person and what I was interested in, because I think that was quite unusual for such a young person to become so hyper aware of the importance of our health and looking after our bodies. So yeah, I think that was definitely a time that shaped who I am now,
Yeah. And it's interesting as well, because like your identity at that time, I'm a young, fit, sporty person. I feel bulletproof. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden that identity, that sense of self
Yeah.
is like, oh, that's not how this is. It nearly reshapes
Yeah.
how you act in the world,
Totally. I lost quite a lot of confidence, I think, as well then, because I became very weak physically, because I was, lying down for so long that it took me a long time to like even be able to walk again. I was like not as confident on the hockey pitch when I eventually got back to hockey. So it really affected me mentally, I think, for a long time. But I did get really interested at that point of, okay, well, what can I do to support my body? What can I do to help my health? And I really got very interested in healthy eating and everything at that time, even though I always loved cooking and my parents were great cooks. I think I got particularly interested in how our food can nourish us and make us stronger. And I started learning that at quite a young age, just from that experience. So I think it was definitely a big turning point, I would say, in my life for sure.
Yeah. Well, would you see that this is a trend that's come up? It's a feature of my own story as well. Would you have seen, as challenging as that was that something that's really benefited you in your life today? Like, would you you wouldn't even take it back, probably?
No, because you know what it taught me is insane gratitude for my health. Like at that age, what kind of teenager is going around feeling really grateful? But I remember the day when I could actually walk again, and I remember thinking, I will never, ever take for granted being able to walk again. Like I remember that moment so vividly.
Wow, that's a
And I was
super
only
lesson at that age.
16.
Incredible.
So absolutely, I had so much gratitude for my health and what my body does for me at such a young age. And I really think that's carried me for sure. Yeah. So I don't take it for granted. My health. That's the one thing, when I practice gratitude, it's like, I'm so grateful I have legs. I'm so grateful. That's the kind of stuff I really feel the gratitude in. Wow. And it really helps. Like it really puts things into perspective,
That's fantastic. That's actually quite unique, I would imagine, for a young person. You're 16 years of age.
Yeah, I was 16 when
the
that happened.
awareness of that at such an age is quite unique. I certainly didn't have any perspective like that at that age.
I know. Yeah. So I think when I probably got out in my 20s, maybe I forgot a little bit along the way, but it definitely remained a thread there.
There's an imprint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's interesting how when I go back to doing, when you go through phases, and look, I don't do it every day, but I do try to go through phases of journaling, what I'm grateful for before I go to bed. And it's funny that one of the first ones I always go to is I'm so grateful for my legs.
Yeah.
I think it's an imprint from that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you seem we've met a couple of times, Sophie,
yes.
and even online. You seem like such a positive person. Is
Thank
that
you.
something, and quite aware as well, is that something that was in you? Is that something you learned from your parents or anything like that?
I think I've always had a positive nature. I think I've always, to be honest, I don't really know where it's come from, but definitely from a young, like in my early 20s, I've had a kind of fearless, is that the right word? I can do this type thing. You know what I mean? Like I believe I can do things. Like even when I started a food company, and that's probably the start of this journey whole thing, but I started a food company when it was like, the 2008, when it was like the crash, everything was, and I had studied economics in Trinity and I had a master's in economics, and everyone was like, why aren't you just doing what all your peers are doing, going into financial services or something?
What
like
makes sense to society.
What makes sense, exactly. And I was like, that's not the path for me. Like I just knew it wasn't the path for me. And I had trained at Ballymaloe, which I was, was such a pivotal time in my life as well, where my real interested in, I was like, right, from that moment is when I knew I wanted to work in food. I'd always loved food, but I knew I wanted to work in food from that moment. But here it was like 2008, and everyone was like, just go get a job in financial services to be safe, And I was like, nope. I'm going to start a food company. And I just felt I can do this,
Yeah.
I don't know where that's come from, but it's just a real kind of self-belief, I would say, of not necessarily, I've always known I didn't want to follow the traditional route of things.
Yeah.
And I honestly actually don't know where that's come from.
It's back to awareness for me. But you know what? We had this conversation with a previous podcast guest off air.
Okay.
So it's nice to bring it back up in that perspective, because I often believe I'm self-deluded enough to give something a try, and that gives me self-belief.
Yes.
And we were talking about that it comes from trust, that you're gonna go for it, but you're trusting your gut, you're trusting your instinct that you'll be able to achieve it and be able to do it,
Totally. Yeah, I really believe in that. And it's one of the lines I often say is that my naivety was nearly the best thing for me back then.
I call it self-delusion. It's naivety. It's just another word for it. That's what you said there, just
reminded me, because I was in my early 20s and I was so naive about what the reality of starting a food business was and what the food industry was all about. But if I had known what I know now, I never would have done it, and therefore I would never be where I am now. Like that journey in that food company really has informed what I'm doing now, interestingly, which I believe now I've found at this stage of my life, I've found my true purpose and my real passion in life. And I wouldn't definitely be doing it if I hadn't had that whole experience. So it's interesting, isn't it?
How positive will Sophie be if she's sitting in an office now doing economics?
Oh yeah,
some company.
This is not me.
The positivity would have been wiped out of you.
Totally drained out.
And I'd love to go into the gut instinct stuff as well. Like so you're following your passion. You went with your gut in terms of the food industry. Is that something you learned earlier in life? Is that something you always had an intuition? Because I think that's really linked with awareness, that you have the ability to lean into that and hear that inner voice.
Yeah, I think it is something I've always kind of had to really, I think you're right, is that intuition of listening to, we've become so disconnected now, haven't we?
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? It's something nearly that people need to relearn how to listen to your gut. But I think that when I was younger, I definitely had that inner gut instinct of things that I would, because everyone was telling me, you should not do this. Like, do not go and start a food company now. Like, seriously, you get the most amazing job, like, because I really had a lot of academics behind me. And like I even had like some really good job offers and I turned them down.
Yeah.
I just had this feeling of, no, that's not the path for me. Like it's just not. But I was so drawn to the world of food. I just loved it, that I knew I had to follow that. I knew I had to follow that path.
Yeah.
So yeah, what is that? I mean, you tell me. You tell me, Brian.
Well, it's really interesting because it's like it's the most important skill that nobody ever teaches you is sitting quietly with yourself. Like nobody teaches you that. Like there's loads of things that we don't get taught how to be happy, how to communicate, how to regulate our emotions. Like that should be all in school, like, you know,
Completely.
But it's not.
Like you say, self-awareness.
Self-awareness,
It's everything.
It's everything. It's you described that as the first thing for change. It's the catalyst for change. It's the holy grail, developing that self-awareness. And especially with life being so busy and life is so hard and stresses and social media challenges as well, an ability to be aware of your emotions and your thought process in that moment, catch those emotional hijackings. So you're not getting pulled around by the world. You have agency, an internal locus of control. It's really important.
Really important. You know, you've just reminded me, I think actually a big reason what did shape me and help me in that time, like you say, we're not taught it in school, but I did get really fascinated with a lot of self-development gurus.
Okay.
Like I loved Tony Robbins.
Did you? Yeah.
So in my early 20s, so that definitely, you know yourself, it's like you are a product of your environment.
Yes.
And what you surround yourself to and what you listen to. So I was like absorbing that kind of messaging from the likes of Tony Robbins, people like that. And I loved it, you know? So.
Was that post that challenge?
Oh, that was post. No, that was way after. That was probably in my kind of 20s when I was going into the food, you know, that like being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So I was really like leaning into, you know.
Grow rich.
Yeah. You know, and there was all sorts of other people. Jason Selk was another guy I used to listen to.
Heard him.
Yeah. So all about, you know, behaviour and really, and psychology. And I've just always been fascinated by that kind of thing. But, you know, the power of the mind and, you know, positive thinking and being surrounding yourself with the right kind of environment, energy and messaging. So I was absorbing a lot of that. So I think that definitely played a role in me, you know, going down that path, you know, rather than the kind of doom and gloom path that was so out there at the time. I remember, like, even some of my family members, it was this kind of like, oh no, but the reality of the world is this, and here's the crash is happening, and you know, I just didn't buy into it.
No.
You know?
And like how many people out there in the world have that follow their passion? It's not playing it safe. It's taking a bit of a risk. Like boldness is one of the core value of mine. Take a risk, be bold, take a chance. And you learn through the failure anyway. Like,
completely.
You know, that's
I mean, that business was a failure, by the way.
Okay.
So like, you know, I did that. You're so right. Like I believed in that so much. And that entire time I made no money, like no income for myself. All my peers in college, now this is all through my 20s. It's kind of when people are really getting into their careers and, you know, people were all starting to make money. And here I was
literally.
Left
behind.
Oh, I was literally making nothing, but I believed what I was doing. And I still really was like, no, you know, this is working. And we were very successful as a business from the outside in that we grew very quickly. We were exporting all over the world. We were in all the big supermarkets in Ireland. You know, we were doing really well. We were getting a lot of publicity. I actually wrote my first book back then because I was doing a lot of
There's a cookie
TV.
dough, was that the name of the company?
It was cookie dough, yeah.
Cookie dough.
It's a cookie dough product though, yeah, exactly. And it was a really simple product, but the whole idea was actually kind of, you know, it's funny now what I do now, but it was the whole selling point was that we only used ingredients that you would use at home if you were making your own cookies.
Okay,
like it was literally like a convenience product, but exactly like if you were making them at home from scratch. So no unnecessary ingredients in there. Really simple idea. No one had done it in Ireland or the UK at the time. So it was very novel. So it got a lot of interest and we were on Dragon's Den and we got a lot of publicity and this kind of thing. So we did grow very quickly. But anyone in the food industry knows it's a volume game because your margin is so flippin' tiny. If you think that like each food product is such a small net, you know, unit of price. So like $3.99 is how much we sold ours. The retailer there's VAT off that. Then the retailer takes their margin. Then there's a distributor margin. And then you have to pay for all your packaging. And then the ingredients cost. Like you are making such a tiny amount of money per one unit. Yeah. So you have to sell a huge amount of product before you can even pay yourself anything. you know?
Right.
So, so it was a really crazy experience. But, you know, the whole time I was making practically no money for myself. And ultimately, we really got worn down by the food industry.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's kind of what really where we've come to now in terms of what I'm doing now. But if I hadn't learned all those things, if I hadn't dealt with the supermarkets for all those years, tried to export market, manufacture product, you know, understand how the regulation of ingredients works and the labeling works and how you're squeezed to use cheaper ingredients. Like, we were pushed so hard to change from real Irish butter, which is what we prided our cookies on, to either like palm oil or margarine. Like, we were really pressurized to do that by the retailers to bring the cost down. If I hadn't gone through all those experiences, I would not be doing what I'm doing now, which is absolutely now my purpose.
Yeah, it was necessary for the success you have.
So exactly. So going back to what you said, it's like that failure. It was a failed business in the end. We had to sell it for
failed in inverted commas.
Failed in inverted commas. It was, you know, and I was really down when we finally let it go. I felt such a feeling of failure because I had believed so much that this was going to be a success. You know, that kind of early 20-year-old Sophie had so much wild ambition and drive for that business that I was so worn down and beaten. When it ended, I felt like such a failure. I still remember crying to my friends how much I had failed. And I was like turning 30 and I just felt,
where now?
And so it is so amazing to look back. I do, it gives me such a new perspective on life and failure now, because now here I am, 42, what I'm doing. This has been such an incredible journey and I'm helping thousands of people, like thousands of people I'm helping. And I have such a purpose and drive now for what I'm doing. And none of it would be possible without that big, massive failure that I had, you know. Isn't it amazing?
It's amazing. I'm obsessed with failure because I don't believe in failure. If I fail more than you, I win. I'm robbing that quote from someone. I don't know who it is, but I think it's Seth Godin actually. But I love the etymology. I love the meaning of words. And the word success comes from the Latin word succidiary. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation of that, which means to come after. Success comes after failure.
Isn't that amazing?
Nobody just does something big and succeed straight away.
No.
You've got to learn, you've got to fail, you've got to get your hands dirty through those experiences. Like it's really, really important, you know. So it's great. And it's great to have that reframe for you and for other people thinking about that going forward. Like, your greatest challenge and perceived failure could be the start of the real success in your life, you know.
Completely. I love that message now. And I'm really trying to like show that to people who follow me, because people might think this is like some kind of weird overnight success, and I'm like, no. And like another story of failure is that, so, you know, my latest book is like best-selling book. I've just won the Irish Book Award.
Sophie Swaps. I love the title as well. Thanks. I love the title. It's a great book. It was my partner put me on to you, and she said, look at Sophie, this one, she's done brilliant stuff. And we started changing loads of things, loads of food types that we were doing. And then my dad recently said to me, I think I was telling you this on a voice note, my dad heard me voice note, I think it was. He says, oh, was that Sophie from Thing? I've changed loads of me foods because of Sophie.
Amazing?
So real behaviour change as a result of that. So it's fantastic.
Thank you. I love hearing those stories. It's amazing.
The book.
So so it's done so well. You know, I'm just blown away, like still overwhelmed by how much people have supported the book. But also I've just won the Irish Book Award, you know, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. But I went on my Instagram recently and said, like, look, for anyone who feels like they're going through something that they failed at or they're really struggling with that, you know, let this be a bit of inspiration for you, because I wrote a book 12 years ago in 2012. I wrote a book and it was called Sophie Cooks. It was kind of play on the whole cookie dough thing, because that was so big at the time, and I had loads of profile from that. And it was a beautiful book. Like, I love that book. It's a cookbook. But it wasn't a success commercially. You know, I knew from my publishers, like, it didn't achieve what they had wanted it to achieve. It absolutely was not a commercial success. And I talk about the failure feeling after cookie dough. I nearly felt worse after the cookbook. It was such a passion of mine, cooking and food. And I really think it was a really good book, you know, and I felt so much feelings of shame that I didn't perform and that I didn't do well. And for years, and people would always kind of say to me in my circle, you know, would say, oh, would you ever write another book? And I'd always kind of, that feeling of shame would just hit me, like, and I would say, oh, I'd love to, but it takes so much time, knowing in the back of my head, I'll never get another book deal because that didn't do well. Like my publisher, I wouldn't get the opportunity to do another book. And that's why I think this book has been so meaningful for me, because for so many years, and like Robbie will tell you how much I used to have that narrative. I was like, that book was such a failure. That book was such a failure. And he would, that would drive him mad. But like to see now that I got another book deal, and not only have I got got to write another book, but I've actually been this bestseller, and now I've won this book award. It kind of blows my mind, because I had such a narrative after that other book.
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. And I shared it on Instagram because I want people to see, this is not all this amazing success now.
Yeah.
I've had feelings I've had past projects that have really been failures. Yeah. And like, if you are going through that, just know that at some point you can look back and really find meaning in it.
Yeah.
And what you do next can be so much more meaningful based on what you experienced with this, in inverted commas, failure.
Yeah. But it really comes back to as well, Sophie, is that having that positive mindset, having that awareness, following your gut instinct, because you kept going. It's not giving up. Having that mentality to not give up.
Yeah, true.
The name of this podcast is Change is Possible. And that's like failure, success. That's like you failed and you success. Huge change. You've done that with your company. You've done that with your book.
Yeah.
You've now blown up on social media. Like I love watching the journey.
Thank you.
It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's what's that experience been like? Like it must be a bit surreal. It's only a year, isn't it?
It's still surreal. It is still surreal. It's about 15, just over a year, about 15 months now. And it is surreal because suddenly you go from a completely anonymous person to now like a lot of people recognizing you, like I still get such a mad feeling when someone stops me in the supermarket, which is where I get mostly stopped because people recognize me in that context.
Well, I've seen it. We done the video together for the addiction video, and everyone's coming up in the management team and all, and then they're like, "Oh, the management love you being here." It was brilliant. It was great, but we couldn't get the space nearly to do it. It was funny.
I know. It's so funny. So but people like, and what people have started telling me, which I find very surreal, is that people will be in a supermarket and they will be like, reading the ingredients, and then they'll kind of spot someone next and they're also doing it. Apparently, like, they'll give each other a little glimpse of an eye, like, I know that you follow Sophie. I know you follow Sophie. And it's like this unwritten kind of understanding when they're reading a label.
Yeah.
And like, that is just mind blowing. Or someone else said to me, like now when people say Sophie, it's like people know who they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh yeah. Oh, Sophie says this about, and people know who they mean. Yeah. Like that really blows my mind.
It is. That's
in this context around food.
Food, yeah. And it's the simplicity of it as well. I think that's what makes it so powerful. It's just like swapping it, but looking for the ingredients. Like I think complexity gets in the way because I'm obsessed. I would say, I'm pretty obsessed about my health in a healthy way. I think about my health, about what I put into my body and food and stuff like that. And I like complexity.
Yeah.
But when I go into a supermarket, I wasn't really reading the ingredients and I was buying products and I wasn't really aware. But looking at what you're doing, you just brought an awareness to me where I just go in and do the simple things, or I'll go in and have a look at the first ingredient, or if there's a swap for that, what else could I get?
Yeah.
So it's an element of making it more accessible. I think that's the secret of your success, that it can be applicable to so many people. And as a result, you're making such a big difference to so many people, like my dad.
Yeah, well, I know your dad. I love it. I love that. And, I think that you've hit the nail on the head, because a lot of people were like, what do you think it has been? And so many people have said that. It's like how you're communicating the message is so easy to understand. It's so accessible. It's so simple. And I do think that's why it's resonated. And it's like we talked about this before. It's really hard to get people to change their habits.
So difficult.
Actually,
so difficult.
And people have with this, which is kind of mind blowing as well to me. Like people genuinely, and that's the one thing I hear time and time. You have changed the way I shop.
Yeah.
You have changed the way I'm so much more aware when I go in. And like we said, in all walks of life, awareness is it's like the first step to change. It's such a positive thing to have more awareness.
Yeah.
And my whole message is just, let's be more aware of what we are putting in our shopping trolley, And just that act of being aware changes people's behavior.
Yeah.
And we need it because there is a diet-related there's so much diet-related disease. There's a chronic disease epidemic through lifestyle factors of diet. And so people have needed to make changes, and this is like a little simple step, a very achievable way to make change. And then it's compounding, isn't it? Like that's what I found, is that people messaging me saying, first I would be, I started doing clever swaps, just being more aware, making some clever swaps on what they're buying. Then they started feeling better because it made them feel better. They were eating better food. So then they were motivated to start cooking more. Like someone was like, from realizing what was in all the crap snacks that I was buying, I made some clever swaps, and then I realized, I'm just going to make these myself. And so they bought a food processor. Now they're making all their own snacks and they feel incredible. I'm thinking, wow. So you went from that one little step of just reading ingredients, making some clever swaps, to now you're actually cooking more. Like that's amazing. And it's that compounding small change thing.
Yeah, and I don't want to stretch it too much, but it's nearly miraculous. That's how difficult behaviour change can be. And I think something that's really, really important here as well. It's a mantra of mine. Knowledge is not where the game is played. The game is played in action. Right, so we have a lot of knowledge. Like I knew heroin was killing me for years, but it was when I had the awareness, the light bulb came on. That's when the behaviour changed.
I love that.
It's real, and it's because I think the problem with science, like you can look up all of these articles, you can look up all the science, and the science is super, super important. Coming from someone that's spent a lot of their life in science, it's really, really important. But it doesn't really change behaviour at that level. It's the level of awareness that creates that change.
Yes.
And you've got to bring that to people. And that's where you get the big changes. It's obviously at some stage backed up through science as well, but to get the big changes is key.
And do you know what else I think awareness drives is feeling of empowerment.
Yeah.
So that's the message I kept on. This is the kind of language that started coming into me when the page was taking off. It's like, I feel so much more empowered now.
Right.
Because they were shopping nearly people were shopping so confused. Yeah. Because there is so much marketing that goes on. And people were just,
it's
taken in by the marketing claims on the front of packs.
Yeah.
Of course, that's how much money is poured into that. And there's so much psychology behind food labeling and everything. And people are, bought into all these claims on the front of packs, and they're confused. And it's like, they started saying to me, wow, I actually just feel like I can take the power back. Like I'm feeling empowered now.
I love that.
That I can actually I can read and I can understand now, and I can, look beyond those health claims and make a better choice. Yeah. They were feeling empowered that they could make these clever swaps. And I think that awareness kind of breeds that feeling of empowerment. And I think when you feel empowered, you want to make those changes. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, empowerment is very reinforcing. It's very rewarding.
Yes,
and
exactly.
The principle of psychology, the most powerful principle in my book of psychology is behaviour that's rewarded is repeated. So that empowerment, right? I feel in control here. I feel empowered. And you says you're helping people to shop differently, but they're eating differently.
Exactly.
Their biology is changing. There's so many changes there, and you feel better over time. Like I don't even enjoy high processed food anymore.
Exactly.
And people are probably looking at me and think, that's a bit of a spoof, but I actually don't enjoy it because I've stopped eating the glues. Like you call them emulsifiers, it's glue, it's food glue. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
And once they're out of your system, you start enjoying the more quality foods,
But it's like, exactly. And I think this is where everything can get so fuzzy when you're talking about, arguments coming in about, well, is there enough research about that particular emulsifier or that particular, but let's call a spade a spade. If you're eating a lot of ultra processed foods, there's not enough space in your diet for the really nourishing, nutrient dense whole foods. So if you're not eating those foods, then you're just not getting the nutrients that your body really needs to thrive. Like, I don't think anyone disputes that ultra processed foods they're nutrient poor, like they're lacking in nutrients. So if we are just eating a lot of those, if you don't even think about it, if we just take away the aspect of, are those additives harmful? Forget about that for a second. If you're eating all these that are lacking in nutrients, then we are not making enough space in our day to eat the foods that truly nourish us, that make us feel good. Yeah. And it's exactly what you said there. When you are eating those foods, you've got a healthier gut microbiome, which is hugely important for your mental health because so much of our serotonin is produced in the gut. So yeah, the food we eat impacts how we feel. And so when you're eating food that makes you feel good, you don't want to eat that other stuff that's not supportive of our health. You know, the ultra processed foods is huge.
It's
and
huge.
I think that is what I meant when I was saying that people were starting to make clever swaps. Then they felt better. They actually could feel, and not enough people make the connection between the food we eat and how we feel in our mind.
Yeah.
Like, we all understand the connection between our diet and our physical health, you know, putting on weight, losing weight. Yeah. Everyone understands that. But people don't have enough understanding of the connection of the food we eat and how we feel in our head, our mental health.
Yeah, emotional health.
And some of my favourite messages I get from people, DMs, is how it's helped their mental health to eat less ultra-processed foods. It honestly makes me cry. Some of the messages. I had messages from young people, like people in their 20s, who really struggled with their mental health, who said they had no understanding. They were eating all this high protein crap, thinking it was good for them.
Yeah.
And, you know, the high protein ultra-processed foods. And they realised from my content that they were eating a lot of ultra-processed foods that they didn't even realise. And now they've kind of cut that out, and they could not get over the improvement in their mental health. Makes me so emotional to think about, because I know that young generation, because of social media and smartphones, how mental health is such a big issue.
Yeah.
So if I can help that, I think that's enough for me, you know?
Yeah. That's huge, because one of my core values is my energy. And energy and health, they're really interlinked. And that's where I really recognise that. That's one of the things, it's the reason why I exercise and I place such high importance on exercise and eating whole foods and eating and trying to avoid those high processed foods, because when I do eat them, my energy drops. I feel a little bit foggy, lethargic. And that's where your mental health just isn't as good. Like, if you're lacking energy and you're feeling lethargic, emotionally and mentally, you're not as sharp, you're not feeling as good. And if I have one, that's me after eating one meal sometimes. Like, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't have treats and stuff like that. It's okay to have treats, but just to be aware of how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Because if you're eating that stuff all of the time and there's no knowledge, especially with young kids, they don't even know what's bad. They're drinking Monster. You see kids drinking Monster in the mornings.
I had such a go of Monster
like,
the other day.
They have no idea of the impact that's having on them.
I know. You're so right. And yeah, it's true. We don't need to cut it all out. And that is something I really try and make clear. And I know it's hard to get across in these 90-second videos that you have to get people's attention on social media. That's why I love when people have my book, because you get so much more context on what I'm all about. But like, it's getting the balance right. Like, I really talk about an 80-20 rule, because there is life occasions where, of course, we're going to eat ultra-processed foods, and that's okay, and that's part of life, and that's, you know, there's
can't get away from it.
Yeah, and you can get joy in those things, you know what I mean, with your kids and going to get whatever meal, and that's all fine. But the problem is we don't have the balance right, because the 50%, you know, the basket data is showing us that 50% of the average Irish shopping basket is ultra-processed. It's higher in the UK. It's more like 60%. Wow. So that 80-20 is not happening. And that's what I'm trying to help move the needle for people with my clever swaps and my kind of this promoting awareness of what we're buying, because hopefully we are moving the needle then more to that balance of that 80-20. That's what we want to kind of hit.
Health is one of my core values. And after chatting with Laura Dowling, the fabulous pharmacist, on this podcast, I began taking her Andropause for Men on our Fabio range. And the difference was huge. I noticed an immediate difference with my energy levels. But what I really love about Andropause is how the ingredients underpinning the products matched my lived experience. Research shows that Shilajit, zinc, and vitamin D support testosterone levels. The vitamin B's boost energy, and lion's mane improves focus, all of which I felt after taking Andropause. If you've been feeling flat, foggy, or like the colour has faded from the TV, check out Andropause at fabuwellness.com. Yeah, and I love that metric of the 80-20, like Pareto principle. I
It's
live by
so
that.
true, isn't
It's
it?
such a nice 80-20 rule. And it's
Yeah.
like I think on holidays, I eat desserts on holidays. And it's not,
Mm.
I'd probably, if I was going on a holiday on my own, I probably wouldn't because I realise the impact it has on my body. But I know it's my partner and his stepdaughter Ruby, like they have desserts. And I don't want to be sitting there not
Well,
eating desserts. It's,
that's such a good
it's,
point.
yeah,
It's
it's
food is connection and the
connection.
social. Like, there's so
Yeah,
much so many aspects to food that's so
definitely.
important. It's
Yeah,
not just about our health. There's so much joy that can happen in those occasions with family and friends.
yeah,
And that's exactly the times where it's about life, and
yeah.
having that balance, that 80-20. Yeah.
It's key. There's another really important aspect of this as well, Sophie. And while science is incredibly important for so many aspects of our lives, communication is absolutely critical for this. And I
Mm.
think your superpower is making it accessible.
Oh, thank you.
And I had a conversation with a former mentor of mine, brilliant academic, brilliant researcher. But the unit of analysis, it's called relational frame theory, and the unit of analysis was arbitrarily applicable relational responding. And I was like, you can't talk to lay people about this language. I think why Malcolm Gladwell does so brilliantly and selling books and people love his work because he delivers it in a way that can
Yes.
make impact, that can empower people.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's key. Where science is really, really important, I think you are providing a language for people to be able to understand it and make those changes. And I think that's your superpower. And
That's
that's what's making the
amazing.
huge change.
That's amazing to
It
hear,
really
Brian.
is.
Thank you. No, that
Yeah.
means a huge amount because you're right. Like, there's no point in having all this knowledge and information if people just simply can't access it.
Yeah.
They can't understand it, then nothing is going to ever change.
Yeah.
So that's amazing to hear.
And I think it's even important as well. Like if somebody's listening and they're thinking, "Oh, the science helped me." Yes, it's not all or nothing. Different things help different people.
Yeah.
Some people are all into the science. Some people are juggling 3 kids, multiple activities, 2 jobs. They're going into a supermarket. They haven't
Yeah.
got time to look at articles. They haven't got time to
No.
review the data. So
No.
they need simplistic stuff. And that's where the change actually happens. So it's a little bit for everybody what's important.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what we were saying before is, we've all heard the advice for a long time, that we all need to just be getting better balance. Like, it's all about balance. What do we eat? And let's just eat more whole foods. And we all know that advice, but it's not been landing with people because it's just too out there. It's too abstract.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can just do something really small and simple, which is what I'm proposing, is that people just have more awareness when you go into the supermarket, read what is in the food you're buying. That is one small little habit you can do that will help you reduce ultra-processed foods. Because, when you see what's in something, you realize, oh, that's actually not what I thought from the front. Maybe I will actually choose something else. And then straight away, you're making a better choice. Like, it's powerful how that can actually implement behaviour change, like
and
we say.
long-term change.
Yeah.
Then.
Whereas the big kind of abstract advice of just eat more whole foods,
Yeah.
that's just not helping people.
Yeah.
It's too out there,
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's really just actually helping people to make those changes,
And on that note as well, Sophie, the fact you've grown so much, I often think of like if you look at the central theorem of statistics, it's nearly if you have 100 people following you, chances are 2.5%, they start to say 2.5% will absolutely love you.
Yeah.
2.5% won't like you so much, the haters. And then 95% of people fall in the middle.
Yeah.
But when you go to 1,000 people, that gets 5 and 5 or 25 and 25, is it?
Yeah.
10,000, 100,000.
Yeah.
So the bigger you get, the more people that are going to love you and the more people that are sort of going to be in that hater category. So you've had a little bit of a critique around things as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard thing to navigate initially because obviously the growth was so fast, Brian.
So
I
fast.
can't even describe, so few people will have experienced what I experienced. It was, at the start, it was literally like I was growing 5,000 followers a day.
A day. Wow.
At the start.
Did you get sucked into the stats? Because
at the start, it was
it's so hard,
you were
isn't
nearly
it?
on adrenaline.
Yeah,
That's what it felt like. Because suddenly, beforehand, right, and this is the thing, I have been making content for years and years, and I was always just plodding along, same number of following. I had 10,000 followers, but for years.
Okay.
Years and years and years and years. Always making food content and everything else. And I always loved to get back to my DMs. always. Like, I really enjoy connecting with people, you know, and helping people. And so I would always reply to DMs. And suddenly, I mean, I was going up 5,000 every day, and my DMs were flipping flying in.
I can only imagine
the stress of it, because I was trying to do what I always did, which was actually reply to people.
The guilt.
And it was like I was on this weird adrenaline roller coaster, not able to sleep. I need to reply to these people. I mean, it was bananas. It was bananas. Obviously, you know, I had to manage my expectations in terms of what I could manage, and I have 2 young kids and all that. But it did kind of balance out. You know, the adrenaline dropped and it was all fine. But you know, sorry, I went on a tangent there. But essentially, the growth was so surreal and so fast. And I've always just wanted to help people, and I've always, in my view, always put out really positive work into the world, in the world of food. You know, even before this, what I'm doing now. And so to suddenly get kind of a bit of negativity coming my way was kind of, it was shocking nearly at the start. It's like, what? You know, I nearly got really disillusioned at one point. I was like, oh, hold on a second. You know, what's going on? Like, I'm helping people. You know, it was a weird thing.
It was a sucker punch kind of a feeling, was it?
It was. I remember the first time a video was made about me in a negative way.
So it was a video actually created?
Yeah, a video actually created of me.
God, that must have been surreal.
Surreal.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like someone's, and yeah, it knocked me for 6, I have to say. So, you know, my husband Robbie was really helpful in this, you know, just helping me to see for it. No, he is honestly, he is someone who just helps me time and time. Talk about positivity. And
and I met Robbie that day. Yeah, I
he
could
is
feel
Mr. Positivity, and he really helps me gain perspective in those things. So he helped me kind of dig out of that hole, because I was in a bit of a hole for a while when that happened. And what I realized, and amazingly, like other people, you know, in food who I really respect, you know, people really, you know, huge experts in the world of food and nutrition, who I really admire, came out in massive support of me. You know, people like ringing me, and people I hugely admire saying, you know, this is to be expected. You know, this is what happens.
Statistically speaking, it is going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's an interesting way of looking at it, the logic of it.
It is. It's like when you have such huge growth and such a huge amount, you are going to have some people who are going to try and knock you down. It's just nearly human nature.
Or gain from you, even to a certain extent.
Gain from me. And then I kind of got more kind of clued in, and I spoke to other creators as well who actually had a similar kind of growth, who were also really helpful with, you know, explaining like it all happened to them as well, and this is kind of what happens. And I realized quite quickly as well that it's very much a content strategy. When you have a huge following, people who are trying to build their own following can make a stitch video of you. So they use your face, and interestingly, my face will pop up at the beginning of their video. So followers are nearly tricked sometimes, because they see my face and they think that it's just one of my videos they're about to watch.
So that's the hook.
Then they get engagement because they're watching for longer, and then it turns into them, you know, critiquing me or whatever. So it is a content strategy, and I really want people to understand that, because some of my followers have messaged me saying, why don't you respond to those videos, and why haven't you engaged with them? And I'm like, because that's going to feed the algorithm even more, and that's exactly what that creator wants. They are using my face as a strategy to gain following. They've even pinned my face on the top of their page. It's gotten them so much following, that one video, that of course they're like, oh wow, this is what works. This is what gains me following. And we have to understand that this is the game of social media. People are trying to gain following. None of these people are direct messaging me. I have no problem with, you know, reasonable, respectful criticism.
Constructive criticism.
I'd happily have a constructive conversation. None of them have wanted to pick up the phone or message me privately. It's clearly, you know, a content strategy for a lot of these people. And I will not engage in that kind of activity. Like you said, our time is so limited. You know, I want to, I as I just spoke about, I want to DM all the amazing people who are messaging me their incredible stories of how it's impacted their health. And I can't reply to those people. So will I spend my time replying to some of those DMs, or getting into a back and forth with someone who's just looking for more engagement, and nothing I say is ever going to appease? So that's kind of my stance on why I don't engage. But I'm happy to talk about them on these long form conversations where we can have more more context,
nuance around it. And
Yeah.
what's the nature of some of the critiques? Is it
A lot of the kind of thing, like a lot of the messaging is that I'm fear-mongering food.
fear-mongering food?
Fear-mongering food.
Wow.
And that it's frustrating, and sometimes I do want to make a response, and then I just decide no, it's not worth it. But a lot of the time I'm being misrepresented as well. They say when you hear people going into supermarket and talking about this food is toxic and that food is toxic, I specifically never use that word toxic. I personally don't like that word. I think that
we
sound
should ban that word.
Yeah,
really,
I actually do not, and you will never watch a video where I've ever used that word.
Yeah.
So that kind of frustrates me. But they kind of latch on to this idea that I'm fear-mongering food. And my take on that is that I believe I'm doing the opposite. I think that I'm empowering people to understand the quality of the food they are buying. Like, there's a huge difference between awareness, like creating awareness around food and obsessing around food. Because that's another thing that people say, oh, you're promoting food obsession. And look, I'll be straight up and say that, I don't think everyone's content is for 100% of people.
I was going to say
it's just not. And if people do struggle with disordered eating, then my account is probably not for them.
Yeah.
And I really encourage those people to unfollow because, of course, that's a hugely complex issue. That's not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
That is where, dietitians do amazing work. And, that's where they should seek that kind of content, not my page. But does that mean, the other people that are struggling with, perhaps obesity or type 2 diabetes or diet-related disease that who are getting huge benefit from my page, should I not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, not everyone's content is for 100% of people. And I believe there's a place for all of us. And I just would love us all to work on the greater good, which is helping people navigate the food environment we're in, which is a really problematic food environment. We are bombarded with ultra-processed foods. We know no one will debate, no doctor or nutritionist out there will debate that we should not be eating more ultra-processed foods than not.
Yeah.
No one's debating that. And yet they're everywhere. Like 70% of the products in the supermarket are ultra-processed foods. That is an issue.
Yeah.
So, they are the people that I'm helping and that my content is helping, Sorry, I've gone on a bit of a there.
I love this because it's so important, and this sort of translates to a lot of areas in psychology and lots of areas in social media as well. But it's like, if you were to help, let's say, 1,000 people change, like my dad has type 2 diabetes. He struggled with his weight. Now he's making food choices based on your content.
Isn't that
there's
amazing?
multiple other people that's helping as well. But if there is a couple of people that are sort of get a little bit fear-mongered, oh God, I'm getting obsessed about my food. Like, you can't cater for everybody.
Yeah.
That's the reality
That's
of
the
it.
reality.
And that's why we need multiple voices, so people can find the voice that actually works for them.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
so can't we just support each other to find the right person for them? You know, and they're like, that's what I would say to my critics is, go and look in my DMs. Yeah. Go and speak to the people whose lives have genuinely been changed. Yeah. Like, I've met some of these people in real life. When I was at Wellfest doing a talk, this lovely lady came running up to me and said, my mum is too shy to talk to you, but I have to come up and say that you have changed her life. She used to not leave her house. She has struggled with obesity for so many years. She wouldn't leave the house. Now she's lost 3 stone and counting. She's leaving the house. She's going to the supermarket. She loves now going to the supermarket, and her whole life has changed. And I went over to meet this woman, Lorraine, and I was just like, this is incredible. This is a real person I'm seeing. There's a bit of a disconnect when you're messaging people online, even though you get these amazing stories, but you see someone in person and she's like, you've changed my life. I mean, I'm like, that person is enough for me to have made my content.
Yeah.
That person is enough.
You've changed a person's life.
Another man came to my book launch. He stood up at the start of the Q&A, this lovely man, and he said, Sophie, I have struggled with different chronic health conditions for years and years and years. I've been seeing multiple specialists in St. James's, ongoing. And in the last year, your simple advice of read the ingredients, become aware of what you're buying, has turned my life around. Yeah. So it's turned my life around to the point now, and I implemented everything, I've implemented that habit. In the last month, all the specialists and James have told me they don't need to see me again because all my health has been transformed. I mean, I like the whole room was nearly in tears. I was like, that is just, for me, that's enough, you know. I mean, I have countless of these stories from people messaging me. And like, so that's what I kind of want to say to my critics, to say, do you not feel like those lives are worthy of this change? Yeah. Because I've changed those lives. So can't we just support each other?
Support each other.
Let's support each other to help people.
That's it. And that's the message. Just let's support each other.
Let's support each other.
It's so key.
Yeah.
But it's like, the reality is, and just for any of the critics out there, if they're listening to this conversation, right, we have some of the biggest industries in the world hiring some of the best neuroscientists in the world to create foods that will hijack the reward systems of our brain to make us eat more food, which isn't healthy for us, so they can get profits. Yeah. They're tapping into our evolution. They're tapping into the chinks in our armor of the world we live in today.
Yeah.
So let's not band together.
Yeah.
And I think another angle of it as well is like, life is not a zero-sum game where people often think there's one pie. So Sophie has, over 500,000 followers. She's getting all this growth and everyone's going there. Yeah, let's support each other. There's more than one. Sophie hasn't got half the pie. She's a bit of one of many, many pies. Let's all support each other. There's loads of opportunities for everybody. And if we support each other, it's just a much happier place, you know,
completely
much healthier, better place.
Better environment. You're so right. Yeah. There's more than enough for everybody. And like you say, you know, like my voice is unique to me. No one can do what I do, just like no one can do what Brian Penny does. Yeah. You know, I can't do what anyone else does. So, but people will resonate with different people.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not taking some thing that someone else can't access. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's more, you're so right. I mean, we sing up
the same hymn sheet.
and you know what? Everything you spoke when we did that video together for my page was so interesting on the, you know, what's happening in our brain and dopamine and everything is fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, so we definitely sing off the same hymn sheet. Yeah.
And it's so addictive. Food can be so addictive. Like that's the challenge. Like I was addicted to heroin for 15 years. Drugs were a huge part of my life. But the one thing I struggled with most is I wouldn't say I struggled with it. I've had a really great balance of it now because I've eliminated ultra processed food from my diet. I more eat intuitively now.
Yes.
But it was the biggest struggle for me. I couldn't moderate food. I just wanted more all of the time. And it was an addiction that I really had to monitor, but now I'm getting more of an intuitive balance on it as well.
There you go.
And it's eliminating those ultra processed foods.
And it's true. It's exactly what you said. These really like incredibly intelligent food scientists are hired. So much money is poured into the engineering of these products. They are engineered. You know, and there was this huge, did you see The Lancet published the biggest scientific global review of ultra processed foods?
I did.
Just last month, right?
No, I don't
really
think
interesting. And it was the largest scientific review. And they looked at like over 100 long-term studies on ultra processed foods. And, you know, they have come out and said that, you know, it's clear that ultra processed foods they are linked to harm in every organ system in the human body. You know, and they are fueling the chronic disease pandemic that we have. And what they wrote in this review is that it is the rise in ultra processed foods is not down to individual choice. It's down to the global corporations and how they have driven it. Because these corporations are hugely powerful. They are generating huge profits by prioritizing producing ultra processed foods over minimally processed foods because they are the ones that make more profit. And, you know, that they need to be, that is the issue. And I suppose that's a huge thing I'm trying to tackle is it's the food system that is such a huge problem here. And it's these global corporations, you know, and they are really, I mean, did you see as well that the city of San Francisco has just come out and has announced that they are suing 9 of the biggest food multinationals because they're saying that these foods have caused so much cost in terms of healthcare costs that these companies should be footing some of that bill because they are releasing products that they know are harmful to health.
That'll make an impact.
I mean, that's huge. It's the first kind of government lawsuit that's come out against these companies. So So it is massive. But interestingly, in that Lancet review, they're saying they came out and said their recommendation is that, there should be more regulation over the labeling of food. And this is like what I'm always talking about, that on the front at the moment, you see saturated fat, salt and sugar. So you can see, that kind of traffic light system. But they're saying we should also have on the front of pack labeling ingredient markers of ultra processed foods, like all the emulsifiers and all that.
Yeah.
And that will do two things. Firstly, it'll create more awareness for the shopper. So that goes in and who wants to, not be aware that this is an ultra processed food. But also it'll be a deterrent for the large food corporations to stop using so many cheap ingredient substitutions, because that's what they're doing. They're replacing real food ingredients with these synthetic additives because it makes them so much cheaper to produce and so much more addictive. And so if we have this kind of labeling on front of pack warning situation, it'll deter them from using so many cheap ingredient substitutions. So that's what they're calling for. And these are like 43 of the top world experts in this field did this review. It's huge.
That's amazing.
That's only just come out last month. So, it's a massive area.
It's huge. It really taps into what exactly you were doing, Sophie, and why it was so successful, because there was just a real knowledge gap there in the public discourse. They just didn't know. And science isn't going to change that, because people just aren't going to read the scientific papers. So all of a sudden, you are changing the public discourse around that. Like you said earlier, Sophie swaps, so many people know about it now. And that's what changes policy. That will change all of a sudden of the public discourse is changing around this. We'll need to react. The industry is going to need to react. Now they'll try to dodge it in different ways, but at least it's changing it in that way. But hitting them in the pocket, like San Francisco, if they start doing that and start hitting them in the pocket, that could be a real way to go as well. It's like, I think the momentum is shifting back in the other direction.
But that's what drives me so much. And you can see, I've got kind of wild dreams, but I do dream big, and I do feel like I can create help because of this reach. For me, it's not about the numbers. It's the fact that we all, as consumers, making changes mean that companies are responding to that, because they're seeing that people are caring more about the quality of the foods that they're buying. They're caring about ingredients. And we are actually starting to see companies, the supermarkets are listing smaller brands, better quality products, which is a huge mission of mine, because I'm really trying to drive awareness about we have such incredible food culture in Ireland. It saddens me.
Swallowed by Kellogg's of the world and stuff.
So you have why do we have 70% of our foods in the supermarket ultra processed foods? Why aren't we filling those supermarket shelves with our own Irish food products that are produced that are incredible products? Because that's not what makes the most profit. But anyway, I'm really trying to help increase visibility of those products, so that it's like a ground up approach. Like if we create the demand, which is kind of what my platform is doing, because people do want to make these swaps. If we create the demand, industry follows. They only supply what people are buying.
Yeah.
So slowly but surely we're seeing, I'm in Ireland anyway, I'm seeing changes in terms of what the big brands are releasing in terms of products, and then also supermarkets listing better quality, small Irish producers, which I think is just incredible, and that's I think that's how change can happen. It's from this kind of ground up approach.
Yeah.
Because like you say, they'll only make what people want to buy and what people want to consume.
Yeah. I can see book number 3, Sophie's Revolution, Food Revolution. I can feel the momentum shifting.
Thanks, Ryan.
It's funny as well. I met a lovely mom and daughter, and we bonded over broccoli sprouts of all things. Have you got an opinion on broccoli sprouts?
They are one of the most nutrient dense foods you can eat. Yeah, the sulforaphane.
So it was Dr. Rhonda Patrick put me onto that. She's an American nutritionist scientist, and I was looking for broccoli sprouts everywhere, and I met Michelle and her mom at an event. And it's good for you nutrition.
Yeah.
Do you know the brand?
Oh, good for you, Michelle.
Good for you. Yeah, Michelle.
I love her. Yeah, I always promote her. Yeah,
she's amazing. She is.
I always promote her.
And we were talking. I started talking about broccoli sprouts. I says, we do broccoli sprouts. I says, you're kidding me. So I shopped in Dunn's all the time. So I started going to Tesco's the other time just for their broccoli sprouts. But they're amazing.
They're amazing.
But like you said, an Irish company that are really just
care about quality.
Yeah. It's amazing to see. It really is.
That's it. And that's what drives me so much. And that kind of comes, that's kind of where I came from in terms of Ballymaloe and what we were taught about the importance of quality food and ingredients. And we are so lucky in Ireland to have the the food culture that we have, the resources that we have to make amazing food. Like there is amazing food on this island.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why is it not on the supermarket shelves? Why are you not supporting local producers? They not only do they make products that support our health, but they also support the local economy, our local communities. They are critical. And yet so many of them go out of business because they simply cannot compete at supermarket level. And it is wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to hold these supermarkets to account for that and
Yeah.
say, no, give small local producers more of a chance. And they actually are. Because people are demanding, you know?
It's the people shift. It's the discourse, the public discourse changes. That changes everything. That's where the power ultimately lies.
Yeah.
Back to empowerment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back to that a grander empowerment of the people nearly as well.
Exactly. And people are wanting to support local. They want to, people feel good when and look, I understand sometimes it's cost prohibitive, but like I've shown clever swaps of small local producers that can work out cheaper. You know, there are ones out there, but when you do support a small Irish brand, it's such a feel-good feeling. You know, you feel good about that purchase. Not only for that this is good food, this is giving me good nutrition, but it's also you're supporting a small local business. And that's an amazing feeling as well.
There's more than one pie. There's loads of pies.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
What's your number one swap, Sophie? Do you have a number one?
Oh God, that's such a hard question.
Or give me two or three if you want.
What's one really important swap? I think something that's an everyday staple, right? Which would be a really good swap is bread, right? Because when you think about like the sliced pan bread in the supermarket is like one of the most typical ultra processed foods.
I can't eat it. It leaves this weird feeling in my stomach.
There you go.
White bread.
Yeah, it's just not real food.
Yeah.
You know, it's not real bread.
Feels gluey.
It's like like look at the ingredients on a sliced pan.
Tastes
bread.
amazing. I'm not going to deny that.
Amazing.
That's the job.
And think how like this is a perfect characteristic of an ultra processed food. How quickly can you eat a slice of white pan bread? You can literally demolish it. It's so like soft and you barely need to chew it, and it's like so energy dense. You can just get it down you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a real slice of homemade bread, you can't eat that nearly as fast.
Yeah.
You know, so I've done a few clever swaps for the actual sliced pan because people like this is the thing. Why I think that's a good one to make is that it's something that people eat every day. It's a real staple, isn't it?
Change.
Yeah. It's like can make a big change. So rather than buying like a sliced pan, you can get really good one now. I talk about the Stafford's bread in that they're all listing now. Fermented. Yeah. It's made like
crumbs everywhere, but
it's real bread. And actually their brown one is even better because it's high in fibre. They've got a chia and whole grain one now, fermented turnover. That's an amazing swap if you want to buy the sliced pan. But I've done a few other ones as well. Like, you know, you can get real sourdough now and Duns are really good with that. But I mean, if you could get into a habit of making like a simple brown bread, like, you know, you can make brown bread with like a pot of yogurt, put in the oats and, you know, and make a brown bread really quickly. If you got into that habit, I know it's not accessible for everyone, but it would work out cheaper and you would make such a big impact in terms of the nutrition you're getting if you made that swap.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think what's important as well is like that won't work for everybody.
No,
but it could that could be a double win there. That could be a win-win. It could be your therapy nearly. Like I love cooking. Yeah. It's like my knockoff switch where I just relax and I cook.
Me too.
And bacon can be that. So it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But
no, it's not.
If it can fit into your life, that's amazing.
Exactly.
Give it a shot and try.
You do it once a week. Try and do it as a little habit stacking thing.
With kids.
Once a week, you know, and you can freeze a brown bread. You could make a few loaves and freeze a few.
Yeah.
And it would work out really cheap. You're getting a really nutritious slice of bread then rather than the sliced pan. But then another really clever swap, if that doesn't work for people, pita bread is an amazing swap. Like you think of outside the bread, instead of having like a typical sandwich, put it inside a pita.
Yeah.
The brown wholemeal pita bread that you can buy in Tesco, and all of them, is actually really good. The ingredients are great.
So I didn't know that. So that pita bread is a good quality bread.
It's really high in fibre, really high in protein.
Right.
The ingredients are minimal. It's actually an amazing swap and it's really cheap. Yeah. You can buy like, I think, a pack of 6 pita breads for 80 cents in Tesco. And that's what I give my kids instead of bread. Is like they have a wholemeal pita now. They're getting a decent amount of fibre, protein, really minimal ingredients. It's such an underrated product.
Yeah.
So like that's a great swap from your sliced pan. And if you're having that every day, that actually adds up to a big difference. You know, if you were having your white sliced pan sandwich every day and you swapped to putting your sambo inside a pita, like that makes a big impact over time, you know?
Well, I'm a big follower and I follow a lot of your advice. I didn't think you'd be changing my behaviour
Oh,
today.
there
I'm
you
going to
go.
switch to the pita bread because it's so handy.
So handy.
The challenge I have is I eat brown bread, but sometimes it goes off because I'm the only one that's eating it. So a little pita bread can it'll keep a little bit better as well.
And also, I think pita is much nicer when it is toasted. I think it's so when you toast it. So if you freeze that straight away, you can toast one directly you can put it in the toaster directly from the freezer and then they don't.
I hate wasting food.
Food. I always, like freezing bread is actually a really handy way to not, like good bread, to not waste it. Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest thing that people are still getting wrong when it comes to food?
Oh, that's a really tricky one. I think people are still very, very heavily swayed. I'm not saying there's not a place for it and it's important, but people are very, very heavily swayed of just looking at the calories.
Yeah.
And that's been beaten into us from diet culture. You know, I grew up in that era in the 80s, 90s, where it was all like, do you remember like the slim fast shakes and all this crap that would be in the house? And it's this kind of just all that matters is a calorie deficit. No, that's not all that matters. And I understand that there is an absolute place for calories and it can be very helpful for certain things, and we need to understand how many calories we're consuming in some instances, but calories tell us nothing about the quality of that food. And I give a good example of this in my book, because you could take two meals that have the exact same number of calories. So if you're only measuring calories or looking at calories to make your food choices, you could have two meals side by side. One's a home cooked meal and you've worked out what the calories are, and one's an ultra processed ready meal and you've got the calories of that. They're going to have an extremely different impact on you, on your body. I guarantee you're going to eat the ultra processed meal a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot more energy dense. You're going to eat a lot quicker. It could be probably high in sugar, and you could probably be very hungry soon after that meal and much more likely to overeat, to eat more, or crave more, or crave high in sugar, crave more sugar. Whereas this one could be full of fiber, protein, satiate you, where you're just, it keeps you going, keeps you fueled for hours later, that you're less likely to need to eat again soon after. So you, net-wise, you end up eating less when you're eating the high quality, nutrient dense, real food, even though they had the same number of calories. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's
100%.
so much to it. You can't just look at the calories on a packet.
Yeah, it's like the fiber, the protein, those things make it. It's like the thermic effect of food, isn't it? It's like it takes a lot of energy to break down fibers and proteins rather than this instant glucose syrup that's just zip into the bloodstream.
You actually burn calories by in the process of digesting protein.
Yeah,
you know, so. And it makes you feel full. You feel satiated when you eat foods that are high in fiber and protein, and real food with high in micronutrients as well. Then a really nutrient poor, like ultra processed foods are kind of defined as they're calorie dense but nutrient poor.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're getting your calories there, but you're not getting much nutrition in there. And so you're just not satiated. You don't feel, so then you're much more likely, it's proven that you are much more likely to overeat ultra processed foods than you are, you know, home cooked meal, let's say, because that's how they're designed. You can eat them so fast, nearly to the point where your brain hasn't caught up to tell you that you're full, so you can kind of overeat them.
Yeah.
So you know, so that whole calorie thing, like I've shown examples in the supermarket, you know, you can go into the aisle and, you know, this kind of marketing, the front of the pack of these bars, these like health bars, let's say, they're called skinny whips. And it's like 80 calories per bar, right? On the front. It's like, oh great, that's only 80 calories. If you're only tracking calories, then you're like, oh, that's great. That's supporting me. I'm going to have my snack and it's only 80 calories. Amazing. You look at the back, the first ingredient is glucose syrup. No jokes. There is not one real ingredient in that list. That is just, it's going to spike your blood sugars. You are going to be starving again really soon. You're just not getting any nutrients that are really going to support you in that bar.
Yeah.
So calories, yes, they have a place, but they are not everything.
Yeah.
We have to look at the bigger context of food. And I always say quality over calories.
Calories, yeah.
We need to look at the food quality that we're eating.
Yeah.
That's the way I think to eat well in a sustainable fashion over the long term. We can all go on a calorie crash diet for a short period of time, maybe lose a bit of weight. And what happens time and time again?
Go back.
Go straight back on.
Yeah.
The way to eat healthily for longevity, to live a long and healthy life sustainably, is to focus on food quality. That's it.
That's it. Because it's a long-term game.
It's a long-term game.
You've got to look at the long-term game.
Totally.
Talking about long-term games, what is the one, let's say, not so healthy treat that you'd recommend? Have you got a secret sauce that we can eat and enjoy? And it's
not so. Are you saying like
it's
something good quality? That's not
good quality cheap.
Well, do you know, like what I always say. Okay, a good quality. What I always say, I love as a swap for biscuits. A good quality biscuit swap is the shortbread. You can get this beautiful shortbread in Aldi, so cheap,
right.
And it's made exactly like it's butter, flour, sugar, exactly what you would use if you were making shortbread at home. Like that's a good quality product. It is exactly how shortbread should be made. There's no palm oil, there's not sorts of, but it's still not a health food. Like, this is the important thing. You know what I mean? Like that is a treat. It's never going to be healthy.
And treats are okay. That's important.
Exactly. But if I am going to indulge in a biscuit, I want it to be a good quality biscuit that tastes like butter, that's supposed to have that buttery taste. You know, I don't want some crappy, poor ingredient, like cheap. You can tell the taste of a good quality chocolate, for instance.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that a lot. Cadbury's. Like Cadbury's is
my partner's just like, what have they done to Cadbury's?
It's
she
so
can't
poor
eat it
quality.
anymore. She just can't eat it.
It is shocking.
Yeah.
They keep on reducing the cocoa solids. It's down to 20% cocoa solids.
20%.
And the sugar is so high. They use palm oil instead of cocoa butter. Like literally, it is so poor quality. It's outrageous. And you can taste it now and everyone says it. It does not taste how it used to taste when we were kids.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, it tastes shocking. So like I say, swap to a better quality milk chocolate. Look, everyone knows milk chocolate's not a health food. But like I don't want to eat cheap quality crap. Cadbury's chocolate. If you buy like Aldi and Lidl do really good ones. It's like 33% cocoa solids, which is miles apart from. It tastes like real chocolate the way it should taste,
Yeah.
They don't use palm oil. They make it with cream like it should be made with good cocoa solids, no palm oil. And you can taste the difference. It tastes good. So I think if you're going to indulge in something like that, make it worth it. Make it taste good.
Do you know what I love? I just love natural yogurt, just Greek yogurt with blueberries in it.
Oh, me too.
Love it. It feels like a dessert to me. You have to get good, nice blueberries though. That's the key. Yeah,
I actually love heating up the blueberries, and it become like nearly compotty, and having that with Greek yogurt is delicious.
Natalie does that for Ruby with raspberries. She got that recipe of your book, I think.
That's so good. That's so good. I love it.
And Sophie, this has been, I've learned a lot, right? I've learned a lot, but you're actually, and I'm embedded within this arena and I follow you. I've actually learned a lot, and there's going to be behaviour changes. So if there's anything from this, it's just, you are driving behaviour change for the masses. That is the absolute key. That's what I'm getting from this conversation.
Thank you.
Was there anything we haven't chatted about that you'd like to mention?
I don't think so.
I
don't think we've covered loads. I feel like I went on a few tangents there. But really, like my main thing is...
What about your course? You do courses, don't you?
I have a new membership actually coming out.
It's
in Yes, I do have a membership. It's called Sophie Swap Circle.
Right.
So it's actually really cool. So people are constantly just wanting... People are always saying to me, oh, I wish there was like a Sophie sticker on these products so that it's just quicker for me to get around the supermarket. So I was thinking, what can I do? So I've actually gone through... like literally just taken months and months, but like gone through all the products, analysed them. But essentially all my swaps, and a lot more than what I've done in my videos, I've put into like a database essentially. And it's a searchable database. So if you go into the supermarket, let's say you're in Tesco, and let's say you are in the bread aisle and you're like, oh, what's a decent bread? I don't have time to look at the ingredients myself, because that's the reality. If you log in and you quickly go Tesco bread aisle, all the good swaps for bread will pop up. So it's kind of a searchable, it's a finder for people. It's like an easy way for people to...
Right, that is great. Just making it nice and community.
Yeah. There's community, there's support. I do kind of coaching calls with them as well online, and just kind of a nice kind of community feel.
Super. And where can people find that?
They can find on my website, sophieswaps.ie.
Sophieswaps.ie, and obviously through your Instagram as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's
it. It's been great getting to know you.
It's been so lovely, Brian. I love what you do as well.
Thank you.
Also something I want to say is that, a huge thing that has led me into this world, like I'm so grateful for these opportunities to sit down and talk to someone like you, who I hugely admire.
Likewise.
I've learned a lot from you as well over the years. And like being able to have these kind of conversations with you is just a dream. You know, I feel so grateful to be in this position. So thank you.
It's a lovely way to finish it. Being grateful. That's I call my book bonus time, but I'm ridiculously bloody grateful. That's a second chance at life. So we'll both lean into that gratitude.
I think it's the key to everything. Actually, is really feeling gratitude.
It really is feeling gratitude for what you have in your life instead of looking outside of yourself and seeking what other people have.
Totally.
Yeah. Thanks, Sophie.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me.
This episode is sponsored by the Kime Foundation, a non-profit organisation nurturing youth well-being in Ireland. This isn't just a sponsorship, however. I'm currently collaborating with the Kime Foundation on a very exciting project with the aim of helping young people feel seen, heard and empowered. We're both proud and excited to partner with a sponsor that's changing lives where it matters most. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoy this content, I've created a range of online courses around mindset, mastering your self-talk, unlocking the secrets of addiction recovery and morning routines, and many, many more. If you're interested, simply click on the link in the show notes and use the word resilience to get free access to all of that content.